Hey guys, good afternoon today. It's actually not the morning when I'm starting this video. Today I'm gonna show you a couple of tips, things to look for when buying a third generation 4Runner. Alright guys, I'm out here at a empty little baseball field kind of close to where I live. It's actually where I shot my my first video where I showed you guys the 4Runner when I bought it. But anyways, I saw a video online the other day and I was kind of looking. There's a few videos on tips for buying a third generation 4Runner, and honestly none of them in my opinion were like that good. So today the goal is to be good, to show you a good couple of things to look for when you're buying a third gen 4Runner. Of course, these will apply to other cars, but yeah, right now we're gonna deal with the 4Runner. All right, guys. So a couple of things. First is a basic walk around, and so you're just gonna look for like basic dings, imperfections, things that might bug you, scrapes. So you would do a walk around, just kind of look at the outside of the body. We're noticing some paint there. That's a later step. Right now we're just looking for dings and scratches. You won't really find up. See, there was a small scratch there, and of course I did this small ding there. And on the tailgate, it's like impossible to see in the camera. Maybe it'll show up, but there's a small ding there. So that's going to be the first thing. So quick walk around when you show up, make sure it looks like it did in the ad, right? Nothing obvious. Next thing is you're going to look at tire tread. Tires can be expensive. Obviously you'll know if it's like a good tire or not. You can look that up and see how expensive it is and if it'll fit your needs. But so you'll go in there. There's a million ways to do it. Obviously these tires are pretty damn new, but well, they're very new. They have like less than 5,000 miles on them. But so you'll check the tires, you go all the way around. Look at the tread pattern. Look for signs of like uneven wear. Obviously these are good. And so you'll go around doing that. All right, and so after you've checked, you walked around the body, no dings or scratches or gashes that weren't mentioned that would bug you. I mean, obviously, older 4Runners, especially third gens, are probably gonna have something little, but just make sure it's nothing that like isn't super bad that'll bug you, and if it was disclosed or not. And if they say no dings or scratches and there's a small one, point it out. I mean, it's, it might not be a big deal to you, but I can't tell you how many ads I've seen where they say flawless vehicle, looks brand new, and then I'll say, okay, couple dings and scratches, they say no, nothing, and then I come up and I see like 4 right away. It can be frustrating. So this is the next big one that depending on where you live, you're really going to want to look at. I'm in Northern California, so for me, like I'm always really nervous and cautious when I see stuff from the East Coast that's like here now, but it started out on the East Coast. You want to look at the frame for rust. So you can do that in the wheel wells. If you get in there, I hope you can see that with the lighting right there. And we can even get down under the truck, and we're just looking for signs of rust. Now there's like no rust on my 4Runner, and honestly when I got it there was like no dirt on it. It was just clear that the guy was like 80. He traded it into a Honda dealership when I bought mine, but I mean there wasn't, unless they went under there and like hand scrubbed the frame, there wasn't like even dirt on the frame. I mean the thing was just spotless. But you just want to go all the way around, check the frame, and look for rust, because that's crazy important. So you just want to go around. Really, I mean, we're in dirt, and obviously this is my 4Runner, but freaking lay down, ruin your shirt, do whatever you got to do. I literally crawled under my 4Runner when I bought it because I was really worried about that, and then I was just kind of impressed, so I kept going. But look for rust. If it's bad, I probably would just, probably walk away at that point. But yeah, that's something you're gonna want to look for. So check for rust. All right, guys. So the next thing we're gonna look for is paint. So you want to go around the whole vehicle, check for paint, and obviously we're looking at the outside. Things that are going to be important though, you want to look at door jambs, right? Make sure the paints match. Make sure there's no obvious like paint marks, signs of like paint, because that could mean that it was in a wreck. And maybe they didn't mention that, maybe they did, but that's something you want to see. Is you want to check all the door jambs, all the body lines. Obviously here we see that the hood is pretty oxidized, and that's actually nothing. We're gonna jump up here on the roof. This is where you're gonna see it the most. My roof is trashed. I mean, it's just bad. So I'm actually gonna probably plasti dip my roof in a video coming soon, so stay tuned to that. But so we're gonna look there, you know, lift the tailgate up and then check under the hood. And then while we're under the hood, verify that the engine's right. I can't tell you how many people tell me a car is 4-wheel drive when it's 2-wheel drive. I've actually found some that said 2-wheel drive and it was 4-wheel. Happened once. It was weird. It was a Ford Ranger. A guy said it was a 2-wheel drive, and it was a 4-wheel drive. So I'll always, you know, pay attention to that, and then also just double check the engine so we can see here. Okay, cool. It's a V6. It's, you know, it's what I wanted. Obviously, you know, if you're looking for a V6 or a 4-cylinder, you'll probably know that before you go in. But you go through and just say, okay, paint's good, no signs of damage, everything lines up. Go through here, make sure the hood closes. So obviously open fine, close good. So that's a big thing. So now we check the engine, and then we check the paint. So okay, we looked at the paint. The paint almost killed the deal for me. I almost didn't buy my 4Runner with how marvelous it looks, because of the paint on the roof. It bothered me, but everything else was good. The price was right, so I did it. And I didn't look in. I thought it would be cheaper to repaint than it was, but so if that's something that'll bother you like it did me, look into it. But it's tough to find perfect all the way around, and you're gonna pay if you do. All right, guys, so next, but the final thing before we take it on a test drive, of course, you know, if they drove it there, look underneath, make sure it's not leaking any oil. If it's like hot, they have the AC running, there might be some condensation, but we're looking for that. As we see, obviously mine's been sitting here. I drove it over here, there's nothing, but you always want to look under it. You might want to check that when you're looking at frame, but you know, also when you're under the engine bay, look for moisture. Same with under the car. Things like that are, you know, pretty big signs of a warning. All right, guys, and then next is the obvious things that you want to check. Obviously, it's going to be in the ad. It's hard to hide these things. I'm kind of embarrassed. My truck's a mess right now on the inside, but you know, got to shoot the video. So, so you're just going to check for the gear shifter. If there's hella trash in it, that's a sign. Don't buy a car with a bunch of trash in it unless you're getting a deal. But mine's filthy right now. I got water bottles, freaking Subway wrappers. It's a mess right now. It's been just a busy week. I haven't had time to clean it out. I've been kind of lazy. But so yeah, obviously we got this. It's a limited, so we have the electric transfer case. It's automatic. You know, leather. Make sure all the seats work. Everything works that you want to work. Lumbar. Anything that you care about. Sunroof. It's got a sunroof. Make sure the sunroof works. Doors and locks. You know, it's off right now, but check all that stuff. E-locker, make sure the button comes on when you turn it on. If you have fog lights, make sure the fog lights work. All the normal lights, turn signals, windshield wipers, anything electronic, air conditioning, you know, obviously turn on. Radio, clock, you check all these things, because you know it's negotiable, obviously, and be like, hey, you didn't say this, or you did say this, but this is, you know, something to keep in mind. And some of the stuff is kind of hard to fix, and it's a pain, and you just want to avoid it. So after you look at the interior and you look at all the options that you want to make sure, then you look at the miles. So here we got 135,000 miles. Here's a big tip: pull a Carfax, right? So it can be kind of expensive. My old job, I actually paid for a Carfax for what I was doing. Because I had to look. Anyways, I had access to Carfax, and so I pulled it on mine. It was good. It was very clear that the miles were true. But the first experience, one of my coworkers in my old job, he actually he bought a 4Runner. It was a 97, so still a 3rd gen, year older though. He bought a 97, same color. He got a steal on it. He's like, man, I don't know, and it had like 150,000 miles, and he got it for like, I think, like $2,500, $3,000, which out here in Northern California for automatic 4-wheel drive 4Runner with that low of miles, and the interior was clean, had a sub hooked up and everything, that's a really good deal. And so I was kind of like, wow, dude, that's seems weird, but he said, yeah, you know, they're kind of weird, and like, but you know, they came, or you know, had the ad and they took my offer. I think he even like offered them less than what they listed it at. It was like $4,000. They took 35 or 2,500, whatever. But anyways, I pulled the Carfax. I was like, oh, that's weird. Turns out it was an odometer rollback, or they switched it something, but it had at least 250,000 miles, because you could see oil changes from the first couple of owners, and you could see all the miles, and then all of a sudden, boom, when I got re-registered, all of a sudden the miles were 150. And so I told him that. He was pissed, but that's something you want to look for. So so check the miles. That's very big. So okay, so now I've looked at everything. We've determined, hey, it's got the options I want, engine I want, I'm okay with the paint, the body condition, there's no rust on the frame, everything looks good. Well, now it's time to drive it and see how it feels. So we'll hop in and do that now. Hopefully you guys liked that that little footage there. I know it's nothing I wouldn't even consider. I mean, it's not paved, but I mean, yeah, you know, there's some little divots there, but hopefully you guys like those angles. Let me know which angle was the best. I know the side angle wasn't great, but I'm playing around for when I do go off-roading. I want to know kind of what angles I should have camera set up on. So I thought I'd let you guys share that. And yeah, and if you can drive it, I mean, it's good to get your axles flexed in, your suspension really working, and just kind of know. I'm gonna take another little off beaten path here. It's just good to know. So you know, take it in any terrain that's accessible to you at the time. But then basically you're gonna drive. Again, while you're driving, look at the dash, make sure lights aren't coming on, anything that wasn't there before. Feel how it feels, how composed it is. You know, go quick, pump the brakes, slam the brakes. And I mean, be nice. This is someone's car you're driving. You know, even if you think you're gonna buy it, it's still theirs until you give them money. So don't, you know, don't treat someone's car poorly. But get on it. You know, drive. Make sure that, yeah, it shifts smoothly into neutral, reverse, park, low, anything you need to go into. Take your hand off the wheel. Make sure you continue going straight for the alignment. See how that is. And that's pretty much it. So that kind of wraps it up. And that's my tips for buying a 3rd gen 4Runner, or really any used car or truck. I mean, these are pretty basic things. You can look for anything. With the 4Runners, yeah, you just, you know, obviously the things I mentioned as far as the engine, transfer cases, and how things look, that's going to be more specific to 4Runners. But this applies to buying any used car or truck. So if you have any questions of things you want to know when you got to look for a used 4Runner car, please leave them in the comments below. If I missed something that you think is important, feel free to drop that in the comments below. If you like this video, smash that thumbs up for me. Give me a thumbs up, make me feel good. And if you like this video, if you like my 4Runner, if you want to see more videos about trucks, cars, 4Runners, or my life or me, subscribe. We always appreciate that. So thanks for tuning in. This is RPM Vlogs, and I'll see you guys next time.